Hello, my name is Mike, and in this video you join me in the 2020, oh hell, you know exactly which vehicle I'm in. You're the one that clicked on a thumbnail of a yellow car with a pretty lady posing in front of it. Spoiler alert though, there is no pretty lady in this video. Sorry. But before you close the window or go to a different video, check out this video's description for a link to my full review of this car, as well as more photos of that pretty lady. And while you're there, be sure to subscribe because it really helps. Help me grow this channel, and you can see more videos with more interesting cars like this one. So please subscribe. Thank you. Now, let's get on with the review and find out what this car is actually like. This really is a pocket rocket. Under the hood of this 2020 Mercedes-Benz CLA 45 AMG is a 2-liter turbocharged engine that produces 382 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. That's an impressive amount, considering that this is a street-legal road car and you have rally car power, but you also get a warranty with this. That's astonishing. And this is the non-S variant. If you're watching this in Europe, then you also get an S variant, which produces 416, 420 horsepower. That's amazing. And I give my hats off to Mercedes-Benz, because that much power from a 2-liter turbocharged engine with a warranty is just phenomenal. Unfortunately, here in Canada, we do not get the S variant. We have to make do with just the standard 45 AMG. But 382 horsepower is quite a lot of power. Let me demonstrate. Yeah, that's a lot of power. To get that much power out of a 2-liter engine requires a pretty sizable turbocharger. The problem then is a high turbo threshold. Not a turbo lag, because the turbo response is very good. It's very quick to respawn at higher RPMs. As soon as you put your foot down, you get full boost and away you go. What I mean by turbo threshold is, well, for example, I'm in 7th gear right now, about 1500 RPMs. I put my foot down, boost is at the max, but not a whole lot of speed. You really have to rev the engine a bit up to around 2500 RPMs, and then once you put your foot down, then you really go. And this engine pulls really hard from about 2500 RPMs all the way to 7000 RPM redline. It pulls hard. In terms of fuel economy, unfortunately this is too new of a vehicle for Canada because 𝗟𝗏𝗄𝗃, which is the Canadian equivalent of the EPA, has not tested it yet, so I can't give you official fuel economy numbers. But what I can tell you is, during my time with the car, I've been averaging around 11 liters per 100 kilometers, 50-50 highway city driving mix. But I have been also pretty throttle happy, let's say. So the RPMs climbed up quite a bit and I used quite a bit of fuel, especially with that exhaust note. But if you're much more gentle, I'm pretty sure you can reach around 9.5 liters per 100 kilometers in a 50-50 city highway driving cycle. Mated to the engine is an 8-speed dual clutch transmission, and it's pretty much the same as every other dual clutch transmission that Mercedes-Benz makes. Not quite as quick as the Porsche PDK in terms of reaction to driver inputs, like Hopefully you can hear that, but it takes slight delay from the time that I pull on the shifter to the time that the car actually shifts gears. However, leave it in comfort mode and it's perfectly fine. Very smooth gears changes, and even if you put your foot down, it reacts pretty quickly. One thing I want to mention though is if you do consider purchasing the CLA45 AMG, consider the AMG track package. What that gets you is a higher top end speed, 6-piston calipers on the front, and a race and drift mode. Yes, you can have a drift mode on a front biased all-wheel drive system. There's a limited slip differential in the back, and the engine can send up to 50% of its torque to the back wheels, and then that limited slip diff can send to either wheel, depending on your steering angle, throttle position, and a whole bunch of other parameters, and then it can overspin the inside wheel to get the back end to rotate. But I'll let you in a little secret. Although this car does not have the AMG track package, I don't know why you wouldn't equip a press vehicle with it. Maybe for liability and all that. But anyway, this particular demo doesn't have it. However, it does have that limited slip differential. And although there is no drift mode, you can still get the back end to step out of line a little bit. So this thing is very playful around corners. As a result of that 4MATIC Plus all-wheel drive system, the CLA45 AMG feels very neutral around a twisty and winding road. There's almost no hint of the usual understeer that is associated with front-wheel drive biased all-wheel drive vehicles. But like I said, if you decide to be a hooligan, you can even get that back end to step out of line a little bit more and really have some fun with this car. As for the interior, well, on the surface of it, it looks fantastic. It has the same layout as most new Mercedes-Benz vehicles, so it has the dual screen layout with circular vents, climate controls, and then a touchpad on the center console. For that touchpad, you don't really have to use it because it is a touchscreen, or you can use a BlackBerry style touchpad button thingamajig on the steering wheel. I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's there if you need it. And you also have the option of voice controls. But I said on the surface it appears to be okay. The problem is it's a very squeaky interior. I don't know if the camera can pick this up, but there's a lot of squeaks and quite a few rattles when you're driving along. And in a car that costs as much as this, you don't really want that. I mean, I do understand that this is one of the least expensive Mercedes-Benz models, so they did have to cost cut a little bit here and there, but still, when you're paying almost $77,000 Canadian, as this one is equipped, you don't really want those squeaks and rattles, and some of them will drive you crazy. Like, for example, this door handle, I constantly have to keep my knee on it so that it doesn't squeak and rattle every time I drive over a bump. I also had a friend sit in the passenger seat, and he couldn't stop complaining about a rattle that's on that side. Yeah, not really the best interior in terms of quality, but the way it looks is fantastic. One more thing to mention on the interior noises. Did you notice how much tire noise the microphone picked up while I was driving? Yeah, it's a loud cabin at highway speeds. The high-performance summer tires translate a lot of road noise into the cabin, so much so that you could distinctly hear every little bump or road surface that the car drives over. For a car that looks like a boy racer, you think that it was meant only for racetracks. Well, you're wrong. The CLA45 comes with adaptive suspension that can change firmness depending on the drive mode or with a touch of a button on the center console. However, regardless of which drive mode the car is in, the suspension is smooth over rough city streets. Of course, you do notice a softer ride in the Comfort mode as opposed to Sport Plus mode, but even if you are in Sport Plus, you can drive around all day without feeling any numbness in your bum. Speaking of bums, this particular demo vehicle came equipped with the optional AMG Performance front seats. Just like the ride, you think that they are uncomfortable, but they really aren't. There's also quite a lot of head and legroom for the front occupants. But I can understand though why Mercedes-Benz calls this four-door sedan a coupe. Yes, it does look like a bit of a coupe from the outside, but inside it really feels like a coupe when you're sitting in the back seats. There's no headroom for my 6'4" height, and my knees are basically resting against the backs of the front seats. Trunk capacity is also on the small side with just 460 liters of space. In terms of standard features, the CLA 45 AMG is equipped with most things that you'd want from a pocket rocket to make it livable on a day-to-day basis. Heated seats, panoramic sunroof, the 10.25-inch screens, Bluetooth, satellite radio, remote start, push-button start, automatic emergency braking, LED headlights, and front power seats. But there are a couple of things missing that should be on the standard features list rather than on the options list. In my opinion, these should include Apple CarPlay and Android Auto for obvious reasons, keyless go so that you don't have to take the key fob out of your pocket every time you open or close the car, and lane departure warning with blind spot sensors, again for obvious reasons. Not sure why these types of features are not standard on a car as expensive as this, but I suspect the marketing or accounting department may have had something to do with it. As for the outside, the CLA 45 AMG stands out in any environment, especially in this standard yellow paint. It of course also has boy racer touches like the canards or dive planes on the front bumper, quad exhaust tips, which are fakes by the way, and a small lip spoiler on the trunk. Oh, I like it a lot, but then again, I do get attracted to shiny things very easily. To some, all of these things may be a bit too much, but I think it suits the car just perfectly. So, is the 2020 Mercedes-Benz CLA 45 AMG worth it? Well, it starts at just over $59,000 Canadian, and the way that this one is equipped, it's around $76,500 Canadian. For the same amount of money, you can actually get a C63 sedan. Granted, it's going to be the base sedan with no options on it whatsoever, but you get a lot more space on the inside and a V8 engine under the hood. Do I really need to say more? You're going to get a V8. But if you want a pocket rocket, then go for the 35 versions of this. With that one, you get, 300 horsepower, more than enough to have fun with. You get different body styles in the shape of the A35 or the A35 hatch, and it's also $8,000 less expensive than the starting price of this one. As in, the 35 base price is $8,000 Canadian less expensive than the base price of the 45s, just to be clear. So, that's really my conclusion. If you want to spend almost $77,000 on a Mercedes, get the C63. If you want a pocket rocket, get the 35 versions of this one. Don't get me wrong, this one I had a lot of fun with, and the performance is fantastic, but when you're spending $77,000, that interior with all the creaks and rattles and how small it is, I don't know, it just doesn't really make that much sense. But anyway, if you want to know more about the 2020 Mercedes-Benz CLA 45 AMG, I wrote a comprehensive review of it over on my website. You can find the link in the video description. And there's also more photos of that pretty lady I was telling you about earlier. And again, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next car or truck, or probably going to be an SUV next time. Thanks again. See you in the next video.